We watched the greatest movie of our time. Number 2, only to second America 3000.
Whoa, I'm a
Oh
ghost.
God! Oh, you're a vampire!
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Nicolas Cage,
The tortures of the damned!
Maria Conchita Alonso,
Shoot. Do it or I'll fire you. Do you understand? Not the floor, Alva.
and Jennifer Beals.
You are so pathetic.
Vampire's Kiss.
This movie stars Nicolas Cage as a guy who's like, I forget what his job is.
He works for a writing company. They write stuff, and something about trying to find the contract with the German news organization Der Spiegel, and he has a whole lot of secretaries, and I don't know why.
One particular, Alva.
Am I getting through to you, Alva?
One night he goes out, and his woman goes back to his room, his house.
Oh yeah, the sweet. He's really good at picking up women.
Yeah. And like there's a bat in the room.
Yeah. Oh, and she's wasted. She's totally shit-faced. They're both drunk. I mean, they okay. He picks her up at this like nightclub. They're drunk, going down the street. They're stumbling up the stairs, tearing their clothes off, naked in his studio apartment. I don't know why he lives in a studio apartment. He seems he seems important at his job.
But the bat bites him.
Okay.
And he starts
Well,
to
he fights the bat. Did the bat bite him in that moment? He was fighting the bat. The lady, she was naked. She runs out in the hallway drunk. And then he puts his clothes on, minus his socks, and they're like, let's go leave. I don't remember where they went because I started, drinking at this point.
Well, also, I mean, the order of like events of where he goes isn't as important as the fact that like he's planted a seed in his head that he might be becoming a vampire.
Okay, yes.
So
well,
like where
we
he
don't
is
know.
and when he is.
We think he might actually be a vampire.
Yeah, and where and when isn't as important as how far down the line is he to like really thinking he's a vampire.
But he's a total lady killer. So, he's got this one chick. She's like a fling, and then he's like, goes to like the art museum, and she's like, what do you think of this art? And he's like, I gotta take a piss.
Yeah.
And he like leaves. He like leaves her in the art gallery, and she's like, what the fuck? And she leaves, and she's like, never talk to me again. You're a freak.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, I'm gonna pick up another lady. And he's like, I like your earrings. And he's like, do you get that joke? It's like, okay, you're already insulting. Because she didn't get like,
is this the vampire lady that he sees?
This was the vampire lady.
Yeah.
She was the skinny, scrawny vampire lady, and then she bit him.
Yes.
When he brought her back to his place, because he's a total, he gets a new lady like every night.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know
how, but he does.
Instead of my touching her back, I'll take her hand and put it on my elbow here, on my arm, and I'll let go and say, that's all you get.
Well, we find out later that he might be crazy, so this, who knows? Who knows how far he gets with these people?
But I mean, in the main story of things, he begins to think he's a vampire. Then he kind of, I think, takes everybody he's met and like imagine situations with them that kind of supports the idea that he's a vampire. Then he starts to actually act out, and everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. So, his behavior at the office, does that have anything to do with him thinking that he's a vampire? Or is he just a fucking monster?
Yeah, I think he's just a monster, man. Like, he's a bad person. And
yeah, I mean, he's the guy that we follow for this whole movie. And I'm like, at a certain point, I'm like, who's our protagonist anymore? Because the secretary who's like his total like whipping boy lady, where he's just treating her like garbage. Yeah. He's like, we got to find this file.
Sifting through old contract after old contract. I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand?
You gotta find the file. It's impossible to find it, but you gotta find it, or I'll fire
Well, that's the
you.
running thing throughout the movie. There's a file that she needs to find, and he says to her, "You are the lowest on the pole here.
Yeah.
No one else I would give this job to, and you have to find the whatever file."
Yeah. Well, he like
again.
continuously gaslights her because the scene that you're describing, he sets it up like he's apologizing to her.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
Yeah, he does this like 2 or 3 times.
When she says,
"Sorry, you know."
She says, "I'm not going to work today because I hate my boss." He's like, "Oh, I made you Suba. I feel better. Let's drive here. I'm driving you to work. Now find the fucking file." It's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, I paid all this money to come get you in the Bronx when we're in Manhattan. I paid almost $50 to come get you in like 1980 something. That's like $1,000 to the cab. And he's like, "I came all the way out here to get you. You better find this file." Blah 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 blah. And at this point, she's already threatened to shoot him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't come near me. I'm going to shoot you." He like chases her into the bathroom at one point. There's this other like elderly secretary who's like, "What the fuck is he doing in here? What the fuck is going on in here?" And then she just walks out of the bathroom. I love this movie. She had all that pink stuff in her room. The poor sweet woman. I feel bad for her.
She says she's going to shoot him, but he doesn't. Yeah. And then like, I don't know if that's...
Well, then he like demands that she shoots him.
Him being shot and nothing happening because they're blanks just proves more that can't be killed.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I didn't think about that. Interesting. Yeah. You know, he did put the gun in his mouth and fired 2 blanks. Yeah. Those hurt.
Yeah, those would hurt. That would hurt really bad.
But yeah, I mean, there was actually, you know what, I'm thinking about this. So when he is in therapy, right? Yeah. And he's like talking about, you know, it's like, "Hey, I had this hot chick over, and then we were all like about to do it. And this bat showed up, and the girl ran out into the hallway, and I was fighting the bat, and I got excited. When he was fighting the bat.
Yeah, he was aroused when he was fighting the bat. Yeah.
Yeah. And the shrink doesn't like believe him. She's like, "Well, you were just in the throes of like sex and stuff. There's no way, you know, you weren't really." And he like really convinces her. He's like, "Yeah, I was excited by the bat." Did you see the look that she gives him?
You were fighting off the bat, and that's when you had this new feeling.
Then, yes, that is the precise order of events. And on that note,
it was a pretty crazy, nutty thing that he said, but the look that she gives him, she's just like this sort of like sideways, like, fuck.
He fucks with Alva. Alva has a brother.
Oh, yeah. He works at the gas station that they conveniently drive by. I thought she was making that story up. So, like, he picks her up, and he starts screaming at her in the cab again after he's, like, convinced her to come back to work. And he's, like, screaming at her in the cab, and she's like, "Hey, you know, my brother works here. I told him I was going to give him some money." I thought she was like, "I just need to get out of this car." But well, she got the blanks.
Well, I mean, she had the gun, but there's no bullets. Like, I want bullets. Which should be enough for the brother to say, "My sister needs bullets in her gun, and the boss is in the car."
Well, this is like after he, you know, maybe raped her, and he starts like biting her neck, but he's not a real vampire, so it doesn't even do anything. Yeah. And she's just passed out, and he tries to kill himself. It doesn't work, and then he like grabs the cross, and he like, is this the scene where he like runs down the street screaming, "I'm a vampire"?
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. And just
I love the way he ran. He ran like a little kid.
Yes.
Where his arms are kind of like straight down. Yeah. His arms are straight down. His fingertips are like pointed out, like a curtsy or something, and he's just screaming, "I'm a vampire," over and over again, but in his fucked up voice. It is weird.
That's the thing. His voice makes
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Like he has like a lisp or something. Is he trying to fake a New York accent?
That's not a New York accent though at all. Like I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying that it was.
I know. I don't know
what he was going for.
But it makes you like every time he talks, like wonder what it is, and it changes, but it's like
it does.
this weird.
Well, he talks like Keanu Reeves, and then he talks like he's from like Pennsylvania, where he's like doing like the O's like that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know.
I brought this girl up to my place the other night. Really hot, you know. And we're on the bed. And suddenly this bat comes swooping down out of nowhere.
Like we talked to his therapist. He's like, when I saw the bat, I didn't think that I wasn't aroused. I don't remember the bat incident at all. It's like, what voice are you doing? I don't understand the voice you're doing. I love that voice. I don't know why. I'm probably gonna do it all the time now.
Yeah.
But the voice was very confusing. But
So,
his descent into madness was hilarious to me. I loved every second of it. And I loved his. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I loved his screen matches with Alva. Like, he called Alva in multiple times to his office. One time he calls her in, and he's like, you know, you can't find the file, so I want to make this phone call, do song and dance for my boss, and stares at her like, you piece of shit, look what you're making me do. You are a maggot. Like, I don't know what that look is, but it's just like so condescending. And the guy on the phone doesn't give a shit. And then,
yeah, but he's like acting. He's acting as like, you know, he gets off the phone. Well, the guy's like, you know, you don't have to worry about it. It's not that big of a hurry. I know they got like lots of work to do. The girls, you know, that's how they refer to their secretaries. Their entire staff is the girls, right?
Yeah.
It's very, you know, whatever.
80s,
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he's like, you know, don't worry about it. How are you doing, man? And it like forces Peter to be like, I'm fine. But like he wants to act like he's being berated.
And then when he's in the office with Alva, and it's like, am I getting through to you, Alva?
Alva!
I love that part. And he points at her and tilts his head away.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he doesn't even look at her. He points at her and screams.
When he goes to his therapist, he's like, I don't know what the problem is. I don't see what it is. It's A, B, C, D, E, and he goes through the whole alphabet.
You know, when he started that, you know, where he's like complaining, he's like, I had a meltdown at work, you know, and she's like, oh, what happened? He's like, well, I don't understand why people can't file stuff. Instead, he has like another meltdown. Instead of just saying, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I did. It was like, he's like trying to get her to validate his insane overreaction. And while he starts doing the alphabet, he's like standing, he's like yelling in a very threatening manner at his therapist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if he gets through the whole alphabet, I'm going to lose it.
Oh, yeah, he does.
He did. And what did she say? I wrote it down.
Very good. You know your alphabet.
Like he's a child.
You know your alphabet.
My favorite thing about this is descent into madness of, I enjoyed fighting that bat to, I'm a vampire and I have a coffin in my house. Like, I love when...
Yeah, he made it out of his sofa and like some books.
Yeah, his sofa is his coffin. He pulls it over there. At one point he finds like I'm a ghost again, damn it. All right, like a stick in the picture behind me, and he has that stick like he's gonna stake himself, and he tries to do it.
He's begging people to kill him.
I'm a vampire. Kill me.
He's begging people to kill him. Did he kill that lady in the club?
And he enters the club like he's Dracula or some shit with his arms spread
out.
Well,
he punched the bouncer. He pushed it through all the people. He punches the bouncer in the gut. Yeah. And he goes in and he does like this like really tense stance with his oh, I guess we'll take the plastic ones, because he didn't have any cash on him to buy like the ones.
His vampire.
He's like half crying. He's like half crying in the Halloween store, and he's like, just take the plastic ones.
He tears apart the bag to open the teeth like a maniac.
Yeah.
And he calls his therapist.
Yeah.
Can't understand his teeth. Like, I need to make my appointment sooner. And
she's like, well, you're scheduled for Tuesday afternoon. I could do Tuesday morning. He's like, can we do sooner? Oh, sooner. Okay, Monday. Can we do sooner?
But he's so
Monday
far
at
into it.
7?
So far into this, he goes to the nightclub and he pushes through everybody. And he murders somebody, like sitting by herself, and she thinks that he's just joking around, like, oh, here's this funny guy with vampire teeth.
Well, she's back there doing coke, and he comes over there with his teeth, and she's like, oh, ha, like it's funny, right? They're having fun because she's on cocaine. You know, he slips his hand down her shirt, and then that's when things get serious.
And actually
she's like,
bites,
okay, fuck you.
Bites into her neck. I don't know. I don't think with the plastic teeth, because they probably weren't working. Just with his actual teeth. At this point in the movie, like, I forgot he's bitten by the bat, but he ate a cockroach for real in this movie. Bitten by a bat, and
the
now
laziest cockroach ever, man.
Really sick. He might have rabies.
Pigeons too. He runs around the street catching pigeons, and he starts
right.
eating them.
Yeah, because you see a trail of feathers throughout his apartment. And he's eating a pigeon.
Everything's broken. He's ripped his place apart. His sofa's upturned to make it into like a coffin for him to sleep in. He's putting newspapers on the windows.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which leads to like him.
I love it.
This picture behind me, this picture where he's walking around, having imaginary conversations with his therapist.
He ran into that wall.
Yeah, they cut back and forth between him talking to the wall and his imaginary therapy session where he's meeting, like, where the therapist said, oh, here's a girl for you. It's like, oh, you're perfect, you're just like me. And everyone's just walking by him.
Sharon.
It's wacky.
Sharon. Oh, what a beautiful day.
This movie's actually good in other ways too, because there's lots of times where there's really like scary music or intense music, but nothing is happening. Which is kind of like, I think his like brain saying, like, you know, making up some shit, like his everyday life. It's more dramatic.
So whenever like the fucked up music is happening, this is like crazy time. I like the part where after he gets kicked out of the club and he's like going down the street and he comes out like from behind like the building and the sun had like just come up. He starts screaming at the sun. And he's like, I'm a vampire, kill me. It's like, when did the craziness start? Was he already crazy? Was he always a total asshole? Because I feel like the whole vampire thing and the Alva thing were completely separate.
Yeah.
Which is
You're
interesting.
Right.
It's like two completely different.
Well, they met a little bit where
happening.
he like in the scene with the gun in like the basement or the building, but
his like general abuse to her.
Yeah.
It was like it had nothing to do with him thinking he's a vampire.
No.
He's just a fucking asshole. We're just like gonna make a horrible scene and act like a fucking dick and like walk around and like take things off people's desk and throw them on the floor.
Yes.
And then he'll go to work the next day and be like, hey, how's everybody doing?
But all this shit comes back to him because he's being a dick. And this is where like the vampire story and the Alva story kind of meet, because he's being a dick. And then Alva and her brother follow him to his apartment, and he's in his coffin under the couch.
Yeah.
With his stake. And he says, brother comes in and picks up the couch, and he's like full vampire mode. And then he puts the stake to his chest, and the brother just shoves it in his chest, and then he actually dies.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
It was pretty good. It was good, easy, convenient revenge. You know, he didn't even have to use his tire iron. I enjoyed it a lot. I highly recommend this movie. There's some shit that makes me a little bit, you know, like, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Gets a little rapey, you know, but it's pretty great. It's pretty awesome. I liked the therapist.
Oh yeah.
I felt really bad for Alva the whole time. This woman, she's just a fucking punching bag to this piece of shit who's crazy, obviously. So it's like, is this movie supposed to like make us think? Are we supposed to be thinking, okay, crazy, this guy has no idea, he thinks he's a vampire, he's a crazy nut, does these horrible things. But in my view, those things were separate. And it's like, you could be crazy and you could be an asshole. I don't think that being crazy is really an excuse for some of the shit that he did. This movie is funny.
Yeah.
Vampire's Kiss is funny.
But he wants to be funny and scary. After we watched the movie, we saw some interviews. And I've seen some. He talks about how it's like horror and comedy fit well together. And then they talk about him eating the cockroach, which he actually ate. As you can tell, like, he tries to chew it as fast as possible.
What did PETA think of this? Did they have anything to say?
I don't think they care about cockroaches. But Nicolas Cage's acting, it's not like he's like just making this shit up. Like in the interview, he said that like with the alphabet scene, like that was, he practiced that and like put it together a certain way. Where he kind of like he said he had like a Mick Jagger stance through part of it. And like, it's like.
Yes. I was wondering about, okay, that makes sense. He definitely had like this like power stance for a lot of it. Do it.
All right, I'm gonna go do a thing. Have fun in the phone booth over there.
All right, I'm in the phone booth. I'm calling a girl. I'm calling my shrink. I need therapy. I need evaluation, sir.
Want to join me? Well, absolutely no. Yep, watch yourself. But come on now, don't do that. I have to do the work. Stop it now, come on!